So we are back for another podcast this week. Thank you everybody for joining us. You're going to notice that this is somewhat of a different, smaller show, at least in terms of how many topics we have, but we're going to make that up by going a little bit more in depth on these. Of course, before we get into it, thank you to everybody that's a member of the channel and that supports us. You guys are the true MVPs around here, which means this week you guys get the final predictions for Marvel's Hawkeye, which will be available this Saturday. Also, Teardrop to Metahuman, Spider-Man Homecoming audio commentary, and the flashback going down to Kind Citizen, Spider-Man 1 audio commentary. Let's get that Spider-Man hype train rolling towards No Way Home. Get this show started off on some sort of foot. I'm not saying it's the right foot or the wrong foot. It's just going to be a foot.
It's a foot.
This show's taking off like a foot. Oh, man. Oh, man. Okay, here we go. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's going to be a good week. Going to be some good topics, mainly because we got 2 and a bonus topic. So there's nothing holding us back from a good show. I'm telling you now, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. I can feel it. I'm either feeling that in my bones or I'm too old and my bones are just hurting. Something's definitely been felt in my bones. So I am joined by the other old man who knows who He-Man is on here, Mitch.
I know who He-Man is, but I know nothing about He-Man. That's my redemption. Yeah.
At least you know who he is, therefore it makes you old.
And you can follow me at Mitch692.
So as always, thank you everybody for joining us. Just a heads up, we do this on Twitch. I know we never ever forget to or remember, or we always forget, or we just kind of, I don't know, look over it. We do this on Thursdays, typically 10 a.m. Eastern U.S. time. So if you guys ever want to join us, there's a Twitch link. You guys can check it out while it's live before it goes up on Saturday. And of course, being a member gets it to you right after it's done uploading and processing on YouTube, which is usually a day and a half to 2 days early with those bonus topics as well. So just figured I'd mention that. See? The first time I think I've mentioned that in a year. So
it'd also be the only time.
Probably, honestly.
If you miss it this week, you kind of...
You ain't ever hearing this again.
Yeah.
This is just what
Not that you're missing much.
Yeah, it's just the same thing. We just do a little before and after. That's a little additional. And but some people have wondered, are we going to bring back John's Q&A? Yes, there will be more of that for members, but also I'm going to find an interesting way to mix it in with the main show as like a small little sub Q&A. But that'll probably happen after we take a break in December. So we normally take like a week off, and that'll be right after, I don't know, right around Christmas, New Year's, when we take a week off, and then we'll come back and we'll do something fun with the show. We'll have some Q&A in there. But with that in mind, should we just get into our first topic?
Pardon me. Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, that was in sheer excitement.
You know what else is going to take everybody by surprise, unless they've looked at all the leaks that we know of, everything confirmed now, 100%. Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
So the trailer finally hit. We saw more things. Let's put it that way.
You saw 90% of the movie, or at least the third act.
We saw so much of this film. This was a Sony trailer if I've ever seen one. My God.
Yeah. No, I don't know why. I don't know why they do this.
Yeah.
I really don't. But I think it's a good trailer.
It was a good trailer, yeah.
Showed you everything.
Yeah, it's the thing with it is, so I guess let's start off at the beginning of this thing, right? So the trailer has a lot of that, okay, we're gonna retread what we did before in the previous thing, it's like, here's the thing. But then it does take this interesting, I guess, twist is a good way to put it, or turn or something, where it's like, oh, we're going to show you a little bit more than you thought you're getting. Because, the first beginning's, a little safe. And, oh, here's more of, there's the black suit actually there, so you could see it. Oh, check out all the villains, and, we're going to highlight them. You're actually going to be able to know who all these villains are. For example, we full-on see the Lizard, right? We see Sandman. It's not a secret anymore, which is kind of awesome.
It's a shame the Lizard doesn't see something else, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
I find it funny with that, because that's going to be what everyone's going to talk about. You can tell who didn't watch the Brazilian trailer.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, no, see, do this. It's like, yeah, no, you didn't watch it. because it doesn't happen in the normal one.
Well, you see,
I say normal one, the one they put out, the mass big one they put out, it doesn't happen.
That is true. It's interesting because there's different cutting departments and things for these trailers. Different outlets and how they roll them out. So something happened there, and we got more or less. You can tell like this is 100% certain. And the thing is, people also lined up that exact shot with the beams and how they cross with the alleged, they're fake, he doesn't know how they exist, Andrew Garfield shots, and we're like, wait, those cross beams and support beams
it
are
matches up.
Like, I'm not even saying 1-to-1, like, no, it's like literally like they ripped it out. It's just like, no, this is 100% real. So
yeah, it's identical. Also, the fact that just the villains are there in general, it's like, of course they're going to be in it.
Yeah,
of course. You're not going to do that and not bring them in there, especially after you just had Spider-Verse. Like, they want that money.
Yeah, they do.
The only way they weren't going to be in there is if they both said no.
Which Tom Holland just recently did an interview where he was like, when they pitched the movie, we didn't know if we were going to make it happen because either everybody we needed signs on or we can't do it. And then some of them held out, but they signed on. It's like, yes, we get it. We get it. Feige went to talk to Andrew Garfield, and Garfield was like, work with Sony. He probably threw a sandwich at Feige's head, honestly, as well. He was like, I'm never working. Because Garfield said, I'm not going to work with Sony ever again. So, it's
like, you're working for me.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this trailer, and if you combine the leaks and everything, look, I've done hardcore analysis of Toby's package, okay? I could tell it's real. I've stared at it. It's there. The lighting, the bounce lighting. It's like ray tracing. It's just, it's real.
But it's on the wrong side, despite being on the same side as the other lighting.
Somebody clipped that sound bit. Somebody's gonna clip that, being like, he's looked at Toby's package. Yes, he was delivering pizzas in a box. What do you want?
But what absolute clownery a week before that thing came out.
Yeah,
I thought they were fake, so I watermarked it.
Which also...
I'm sorry.
I know you caught me stealing, but check out my reason.
But look how many retweets I got. Almost 12,000.
I love it. I love it. Like, this film... The amount of leaks this thing has gotten. James Cameron is looking at this being like, yo, we're going to call this the Titanic 2, and I'm going to shoot a story about it. Like, this thing is just nuts. And the thing is, this trailer confirmed, like, all of those. Every single thing.
Oh, yeah. And fun fact, if you really want to know what this plot is about, you can Google for Reddit, and you can find a post from July that has the entire plot of this movie.
The entire thing.
And it's just like, oh, okay, I know exactly what happens. But it's not even just saying, like, Marvel in general at the minute has a problem with leaks.
Yeah, they do.
Since Infinity War, they have had a major problem with leaks.
Yeah, you would think they'd be able to zone in on the production house or who's been doing this, because, like you said, since Infinity War, we got a dump of TV series info, character moments, even some weird, hey, they're looking at this type of actor, and then we see it and we're like, bro, who has this connection,
It's got to be someone fairly high up that's doing it. Obviously not like one of the top people, but it's someone in a decent position, and they're being very clever about it.
Money's on Bob Chapek.
It wouldn't surprise me. No, he doesn't like to go on stage and be seen. He likes to be in the shadows.
Oh man, it's
the only way he can be seen by. The only way he can be seen by millions of people without getting booed.
Oh, I swear to God, this whole thing sounds like a wrestling storyline. If I was to write this into wrestling, I'd be like, yeah, this is all believable. Somebody's leaking random plot details. There's villains in the shadows. It's all.
It's just like everything.
Everything, yeah.
It's absolutely everything's nuts.
Now, I do want to bring this up because there was rumors right around that same time that we would also see other Spider-Men. They're not necessarily going to be unmasked or anything like that, but as part of this whole multiverse giant fight, that we could see a few additional characters that kind of, are fighting.
It's possible.
I mean, it would kind of make sense, right? Like,
The whole thing with he's on like the Statue of Liberty with the shield, and he's like, "They're coming through. I can't stop them." It's just like, yeah, there's got to be some more, like, surely.
Yeah.
But then who else do you know? What are the ones we're missing? Dane DeHaan?
Yes, Dane DeHaan.
Like, he's the only one we're missing, right?
We got 3 Spider-Man frauds. You're all frauds, Spider-Man.
Unless you can bring in like one of the old like TV shows, like the Nick Hammond Spider-Man villains.
I would love that. That'd be kind of cool. I would love it if, for some reason, we just see Osborn's head in a jar float by. It's like, help me!
Oh,
I'm
God.
like disembodied head. Ooh.
Imagine. Actually, imagine.
Do you think there? I mean, there was reports, and then they got kind of like, oh, it's not happening, but it is. There was reports of Rhino appearing, but I mean,
I doubt it.
Yeah,
I doubt it.
Same. It's no. Personally, I would hope that they maybe toss in another Spider-Man or two. We don't have to see them unmasked, but just show them fighting in the back, doing their thing briefly. You could be like, who's that? It's like, oh, it's another Spider-Man. Like, we're all variants here, right? It's like, oh, that's cool. All right, keep going at it.
Get Spider-Man in there with his giant mech.
That would be so cool. Yeah. Oh, I mean, get Noir would be kind of cool to see. That'd be kind of cool.
You could bring in Oscar Isaac as 2099.
They definitely should. They should. Just have him voice a line in there.
I'm not entirely sure how that suit would look in live action, but
it looks good enough on ray tracing mode on the video game, so I suppose you can make it look all right, but yeah.
It's just the concept of it. It's it's a Halloween costume. It's like,
yeah.
Like, I love the 29. Like,
same.
Don't get me wrong.
Same.
It's just one of those like.
I actually, I say the controversial thing where I like the redesign more, like the more recent white one.
I like that one.
Really like that approach, and it didn't click with me at first, but I was like, this could probably be something that they could use. So it's another one of those things where there's a lot that you can do here that I think would lend to the whole fan thing. And again, they haven't shied away from being like, guess what? This thing is gonna blow your mind. It's gonna be great. It's like the expectations for this are pretty high, and if you see the reaction,
pretty high.
Yeah, that might actually be the ultimate understatement. I take that back.
Understatement of the century. Jesus, we're not even a quarter way through it yet. Christ, that's gonna be hard to beat.
I mean, look, I've had casual friends tell me their theories and what they hope happen. I'm like, oh no. I'm like, even you casuals are building yourself up so high, like. It's
it's kind of nuts.
Now, what do you think of I don't know, some other aspects of this? Like, there's still a lot of rumors. People are like, hey, could we maybe see Venom or Morbius or something? I mean, the interesting thing that pops up with Morbius, specifically today as we're recording this, is Michael Keaton was just on one of those late night shows.
I literally just saw that before we started.
Yeah, and he revealed, I'm currently back shooting as Vulture.
Yeah, but it's like, for what? I assume more, like, could it be Morbius reshoots?
Dude, I assume the thing is terrible from the ground up and no amount of reshoots are gonna fix it, but like, how many reshoots can that thing go through? Like,
what else could he possibly be doing?
Yeah, like, I
haven't got a clue.
Unless they're doing some sort of post-credit scene where they're gonna, like, a bunch of villains sitting in a jail and they're like, hey, there's 6 of us. Are we sinister? Sony logo pops up. The Sinister Six will return in a non-MCU canon storyline.
It's not even 6. It's just him and the Scorpion. It's just like, we should get 4 more. Because that's what they're gonna do. This whole movie, and the third act is going to be inspiration for the Sinister Six.
Of course it is.
And they're gonna be like, 5 wasn't enough, so we're gonna get 6.
I love it. This is the greatest. Now, what do you think of some of the other potentials? Do you think, like, we know Sony's working on, like, the Spider-Woman, possibly a Spider-Gwen as well, something? think they can maybe drop something in there, because both those characters, you don't necessarily need an actor. And if we've seen things moving fast in motion, if there's enough blur on it, you can't even tell whose face it is. So
it's true. I mean, they could literally just pull in Haley Steinfeld for a day of voiceover, and do a Spider-Gwen from the animated Spider-Verse.
That'd be
just
cool.
whack that.
That would be great.
Though another costume where I'm not entirely sure if that would work in live action.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how it would translate, because the ballet shoe idea is a bit of a weird one. Especially you can make a shoe look like a ballet shoe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Just bring in Emma Stone. Bring her in as Gwen Stacy and have Peter be like, Gwen?
I mean, isn't she supposed to be in this anyway?
It's been rumored. And she did patch things up with Disney over... Yeah, exactly. I heard Deathstroke was going to appear in this, so pretty excited.
I mean, I was surprised it didn't show Godzilla, to be honest.
Right, the final trailer is just going to be that scene from Ready Player One with everybody running at each other, except they added Peter swinging.
They just put webs on everyone and called it a day. Spider-Verse, done.
The movie ends with them doing buy a PlayStation 5 now, go watch Ghostbusters, please. Just like all their trailers.
Miles Morales Spider-Man available now on PS4 and PS5.
Amazing. But yeah, overall, I really did like this trailer. I like that they're still they're keeping the mystery. I really hope. I know they're getting backlash, but please do not show the other Spider-Man in any advertising. Like, that's just
you already know they're right there.
Exactly.
You already know. Everyone's seen the gif of the lizard. Everyone's made the memes, and God bless whoever took the Incredibles scene with the coincidence scene from Incredibles, because that meme is amazing.
It is. And
I spent like half an hour trying to download that video.
Also, there is the factor in this, if you just look at it, that even the casual can figure out, hey, wait a second.
Yeah.
If the guy from the other movies is in and the other guy from the other movies, do you think their Spider-Man will show up? And then you literally have Doctor Strange drop a hint about it. It's like,
yeah.
And then they've all watched Loki. We know for a fact because we've seen those numbers. So they're all going to go, oh, it's a variance. Like, I know, like, they've strategically set this up so even like my mom, who's never seen any of the MCU, could watch. I'd be like, are they going to bring back that 40-year-old who was playing a 20-year-old Spider-Man? Yes, Mom, they are.
I tell you what, I feel sorry for Tobey Maguire's hairline in that suit. People are taking the piss out of Charlie Cox going bald. Like, have you seen balding Maguire? I don't think you have. It's going. But to be fair, when you're with Kirsten Dunst for however many years it's been for that Spider-Man, I can't blame him. The stress of will they won't they is crazy.
Anytime some other guy walks by, she gets like the music hits. Like, oh my God, he's dreamy. Damn it, MJ.
We have kids now.
Amazing.
Maybe they're not yours. And then she runs away.
He's gonna.
But I'm excited for this. I'm excited for this.
Same. 100% excited. So, look, we'll talk more about this. We got less than a month to go, as crazy as that is, but that's where we're at now. So,
and I have 2 days less than you.
Yeah, you do. Lucky.
Makes up for TASM 2 being a month late in the UK.
To be fair, it could have been infinity late. I don't think it would have missed.
It's true, but they had the audacity to make that movie a month later in the UK.
That was nuts. Well, to be fair, they also spent all their marketing on putting Spider-Man on the ball for New Year's on New York.
It's true.
Like, they spent like $600 million on that stunt, and it was like, I wonder why we're in the red. Well, let me show you. Let's talk about the Eternals.
Scooby do it.
The Eternals.
Finally.
So the Eternals is a Marvel Studios film that features Marvel Studios heroes and villains in the Marvel Studios Marvel Cinematic Universe. Did I preface that correctly? I think I got all that in there. There we go.
I assume so. Yeah.
Okay, so this film.
Tell the people how much you hated it.
All right, so people were like, what would you honestly grade this? Because again, I don't like to put numbers on things. I hate doing that because people are like, this is officially what you said is a number. It's like, but you got to get through what I'm saying for the number, right? Like, it's always one of those things. I always tell people, it's like, look, my favorite Resident Evil game of all time is Resident Evil 3. I'd give that like an 8 out of 10, even though 2 and 1 are superior. Again, so going into Eternals, if I really had to grade it, like, all right, like, do it or we're shooting this off into you, and you're probably going to, I might die if they shoot me with it. I don't know. It depends on who's shooting me, right? I'd give it like an 8. An 8 out of 10 is what I would give it. Now, I guess that could kind of seem low. If a majority of the MCU films, I'd be like, 8 out of 5. It's right in there. It's not in my
8
bottom.
out of 5.
Or 8.5 out of 10 or whatever the hell I was trying to say. 8 out of 5, man. Now I'm grading this on a whole different scale.
Oh, so man, loved it.
Yeah, I've skewed the scale so far now to bend over backwards for Captain America ratings. This is what happens. But yeah, like I do have issues with this film. I think rewatching it actually helped me like it more, because I was honestly expecting the villain Crow to be
named
a villain. Does that make sense? Like, I think that's my honest biggest problem, was like when people said it's kind of like a phase 1 film, I was like, let's see what part of it. And subliminally, when I left the first showing, my mind knew it was Crow, but I couldn't put my finger on it. And rewatching, I was like, that was, I think, the thing. It has the villain problem. And I think that's really the thing that really stuck out to me. Like, And honestly, I could have gone with, like, Icarus just framing like there's an actual villain and not even revealing the deviants, but I kind of, they need them for the rest of the plot and how they connect to the Celestial. So, like, I get it, but that was really the only part to me that didn't work, because I loved what they did with every single Eternal. Like, it felt like by the time the third act comes, you're like, yep, everybody's fleshed out. So, that worked great with it. But besides, obviously, he's not an Eternal, but Dane Whitman, that was like, you're going to see more of him. He's just here because we need to tell you you're going to see more of him. But otherwise, like, so I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Now, I know you, like, to me, it's in the bottom half, but still, the bottom half I enjoy.
I was going to say, we're polar opposites on this.
Yeah, to me, the absolute bottom is Thor 2 and Guardians 2. This is like, what's there, like 30 MCU projects at this rate, I think?
Yeah.
So it's like in 20, I think. That's like the position it sits in. So, it's in the bottom 10, I guess, right there at the 10. It's probably going to bump up a little higher when I rewatch it at home comfortably and get to analyze it a little more. But where would you place it at?
Mine's still in the top 3.
What's it joining up there?
Firmly. See, it will change constantly, but I think right now it's Infinity War and Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
If, like, gun to head had to make a top 3, Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah.
Even that's kind of hard to say as well, because rewatching everything, or at least the IMAX movies on Disney Plus, it's kind of like, it's really hard to make a top 3.
Yeah.
So I rewatched Guardians 1 for the first time in about 5 years, and I'm like, I really love this movie.
It's great. Yeah,
and then they took an absolute nosedive in the second one.
Yeah.
And in fact, rewatching Guardians 1 made me dislike Guardians 2 even more. Then rewatching Guardians 2, I'm like, I feel the exact same way I did 5 years ago about this movie.
That happened to me like last year, and that's kind of like why my list, I think I'm going to have to reshuffle it one more time when I really look at it. But when I watched 1 and 2, just like you, back to back, chronologically, I decided to watch them because that's how they flow. I was like, oh, Lord, this is not it. And like Eternals, I think, has some of that effect where I don't think I was ready for this type of film in the MCU. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm just saying it is that factor of people screamed for so long, I want something different. They finally got it. And now they're like, go back to the normal MCU. It's like, well, you got plenty of the normal MCU. And also, there is a huge amount of people that do hate it for the agenda.
Yeah. I think those people.
Yeah.
But to clarify, the order of my top 3 is Endgame, Infinity War, Eternals.
Okay. Yeah.
That's 3. That is subject to change at any point. But
right.
I've seen Eternals twice. It's been 2 weeks nearly since I've seen it. It's right now. It's still firmly in my top 3. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Could change at any given point, but that's just me. And I know, because it's a weird one. I've read everything, not everything, but the majority of what I ever saw for the reviews of this movie. And people going, "Oh, it's messy, it's hard to follow, it's this, it's that, da 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 da," and I'm like, expectations super low.
Yeah.
Like horrendous 2 weeks thanks to the Facebook group. I hate you all, bunch of fucking pricks. Like rock bottom.
Yeah.
Go into it, and I'm like, what the hell? Like whether that I said this on the Nerd Academy with Jared stuff and Imperious Comics with Ricardo. I don't know if that affected me watching the movie or not.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly couldn't tell. Normally I could be like, oh yeah, I like to consider this, but this one I find it hard to tell. And it's like, people go, oh, it jumps around, it's messy. I'm like, it's no different to Infinity War. Yeah. Personally, Infinity War would be harder to follow than this movie. If Infinity War just hard cuts and jumps.
Especially if you're like a newcomer, right? Like, and I know the Avengers, they're hoping you're not, but like, I get what you're saying. If you were to give this film and Infinity War to somebody that's brand new and say, hey, which one do you understand more? I'm pretty sure Eternals would be way easier to follow.
Yeah. Because here's my thing, and I know that's going to be controversial. People are going to absolutely flip their crap on that one. But Infinity War, literally, it will start an action scene. It will hard cut to Thor talking to giant Peter Dinklage for 20 minutes. And then it hard cuts back, right? Eternals, and this is completely weird. I don't understand how people go, oh, it's messy. It's like they'll bring up one thing, the flashback will start talking about the one thing they mentioned. The flashback will then end with something it then cuts to in present day. Yeah. Like, to me, that's not messy, and there's no like difficult flow there. Like, that's how it should be. Everything leads into the next thing you're gonna watch.
Yeah, and that's also a complaint I didn't understand as well. And I did find it a little weird the first time, or at least like the first half of the film. I was like, oh, I see what they're doing. Because to me, that flow made sense, because suddenly, oh, here's Thena, and we caught up with them. Okay, now we're gonna flash back to this, and we're gonna show you why she has this PTSD in her memories, and then we're gonna show you how this rift started at this specific moment. So if you connect that to the previous character, like, it's not a standard film that has a natural flow. And what this reminds me of, and again, I'd like to point this out because this has been praised in 2 other films recently. Birds of Prey and The Suicide Squad both have elements of this, where you show something, then you jump back. Like, Birds of Prey did that genius where Harley Quinn is trying to tell a story, but her mind is scrambled, so she's all over the place. I think this kind of does that same thing, because it's doing it well. It's just a more grandiose scale. So I think you feel a little bit more jarring. And I did talk to some people that obviously, like, I'm hardcore into history, specifically ancient history. So when they were talking about Babylon and Mesopotamia and all this, I was like, this is my stuff right here, right? Like, went to history for extensive amounts of classes and everything. So I love that stuff. To me, it made sense, but some of my friends and people I saw this with, they were like, there's some disconnect here, because to them, they don't have a grasp of time when this happened. And I'd have to be like, oh,
yeah.
I understand that point, and that I think they could have made a little bit more clear, because you don't understand that when things happen in Mesoamerica, that's still thousands of years after what happened in Babylon. And some people are like, wait, is that happening around? I'm like, oh, no. This is thousands of years. They were there with the migration. Like, it's, so there is that disconnect for me. And again, for me, it wasn't a disconnect, because the moment I see it, I'm like, I know the exact year, I know what battle they're talking about, but casuals are like, who?
Yeah, because I've seen, there's a YouTuber I used to follow, and like, he didn't do any sort of this, but he's now decided to review this movie. And he was going like, they can't decide if it's 5,000 or 7,000 years ago. I'm like, you got something confused. Like, something was crossed there. Yeah. I'm not gonna hate on you or anything, but you watch it again and actually, like, really, I hate being like, pay attention to the movie. Like, actually, like, listen, because it's the 2 separate things.
Yeah, it's.
Also, do they say like 500 or 5 centuries ago, 5,000 years ago? Like, I don't know, people can get scared. Like, in a movie like that, like, especially if you're not paying that much attention because you're like waning interest, like, things can get crossed all the time.
Yeah,
I've been guilty of it myself.
And I think another giant piece I did see of the complaints, and I kind of had this. I understand they're playing the long game with this, so they didn't want to do it right away. But like, everybody I talked to was like, I was hoping to see a battle with a Celestial. And I'm like, yeah, that kind of felt like it was almost there, right? Like, we almost got it.
I mean, that's just like not what Celestials do. that's not the deal.
And that was kind of it. I was like, well, okay, but now we got the one almost comic panel or cover with look, there's a frozen Celestial now, and that's kind of like a leftover plot point. That's kind of going to be cool to see what happens next. Like, it is a movie that sets up a lot. I will give it that. And
oh yeah,
oh boy, did they go grandiose with everything? Because like, even I had some doubts. I was like, they're not going to explain how the universe and the planet. Nope, they're literally going to explain how this is a lot.
Here's Arisham talking for 5 minutes about everything.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay. And see, I said it before, I can't remember if it was Jared or for Ricardo. Like, that point for me seems to be the make or break for people. If you're not into the movie after that scene, then it's not for you. If you're into it at that point, then you're fine the rest of the way through it.
Yeah.
But personally, I was in it from the get-go. I don't know, that movie started, and I was like, I'm finally seeing Eternals. It's been so long. I've waited for 84 years.
I think the film falls into that weird category of, and again, I'm somebody that appreciates the Marvel street side of things way more than the cosmic thing. Like,
I know, I'm absolutely a cosmic junkie in this one.
Exactly, which is I think why there's a disconnect between people like me as well, and then people like you who like the cosmic side. Because I have a friend who absolutely adores everything on the cosmic side of Marvel and DC, and he loved it. But lo and behold, he does not like things like Daredevil and stuff. He's like, there's nothing, there's nothing grandiose creationism or anything like that. I'm like, I get it. Like, and again, this one, more so than any other MCU project, is willing to, I don't want to say devalue everything, but it almost kind of has that sense of devaluing everything by saying,
it's too big and everything else is like, well, what does this matter now?
Exactly.
Sort of thing, yeah.
Kind of like how Loki did that after they revealed the whole thing, and everybody was like up in arms about the Infinity Stones and how it's all preset. They're like, okay, you've just undid and nothing matters. I'm like, I think this, even at a bigger level, goes so hard in that you almost get disconnected from it. You're like, if I'm not in right now, it could pull you out. And I think that.
I totally get it. Like the Eternals in the comics weren't for everyone. Yeah, it's the reason why Kirby never finished the run. There is a reason why, and like it's that's totally fine. Like, people don't like it, people don't like it. You can't please everything. You look at some people's list of MCU movies, and you're like, how the hell is that movie down the bottom? It's like, it should be way up higher. And it's like, well, you get something out of it. It's different to what everyone else does.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen people. There's people that have Thor: The Dark World in like their top 5, and you're just like, boy,
they're wrong, but it's fine.
I don't know about opinions being factually wrong, but let me tell you about this one.
There's a time and a place, and the time is now for that to be wrong.
What other things in this film stood out to you that you kind of want to talk about?
I mean, what didn't stand out to me, Christ? I could talk about this movie for days. Like, this is my 3rd time doing it. But like, going back to the whole Crow thing, like, I'm absolutely with everyone. Like, they didn't even name the guy, for Christ's sake. What a waste! If I had to crap on something, it's that I hated, and it's pure genuine hate, because I thought they went for a really interesting direction of there is no villain, everything's morally grey in this story. It's about survival, and then they have Thena killing Moff right as he got interested in, and it's just like, why? Like, you didn't have to do that.
Yeah, like, there's that moment in the film where he's like just about to almost become a sympathetic, like, you're almost looking at him like a hero, being like, hey man, maybe he could literally just spell this out right now and be like, look, what you guys have done by getting constantly mind wiped is literally caused the ending of like hundreds of all we know of thousands of civilizations. I am fighting for my survival. So, like, I'm not technically the bad guy. You guys have always hunted me. We're just trying to survive. And there was almost this point where I was like, are they literally going to say the Eternals could go either way? Like, this could be really interesting. And it's like, oh no, Crow just croaked. Huh, all right,
Yeah,
move
yeah.
along. And then,
And for those wondering, Crow is the deviant that evolves. They didn't name him
yep.
at all.
No.
You know, a rather important character to Jack Kirby's Eternals throughout the years, just nameless and diced.
just
It kind of, I can't like that. It took me out of the movie a little bit, and it took me out. Luckily, the action in that final act was like,
yeah.
Thank God for Makari.
That is the greatest super speed effect I've ever seen. It is just, it felt so chaotic and frantic yet real. Like, I don't know how to describe that super speed effect of when she's moving. It's, man, that looked amazing.
I say it's the fact that it wasn't in slow mo.
Yeah. Yep.
Because like personally, it's not anything new. We've seen speedsters from that angle and do all that stuff before, but it's just like, yeah, we're not going to have it in slow mo. If she's running, you're going to see it quick.
Yeah.
And it makes that whole jump scene where God knows where she jumps from and lands, but she goes miles in one jump. It's just like, wow.
Yeah. No, that was.
Also helps. Is it Lauren Rindelof? I can't remember her name, but like she was fantastic as that character.
Yeah, she was.
For the 10 minutes she had screen time. It's like, oh. I understand why Makari had to be last, because Speedster, obviously. Yeah. Speedster's always get the bottom end of the stick. But like, it's just like, oh. But hopefully, because, you know, worldwide, because I'm going to narrative the numbers here. Like, he's done better than Shang-Chi in his second weekend, so yeah.
Well, I guess let's talk about that for a little bit, because, I mean, so far right now, we got 2 weeks in, and we're at 285 million worldwide.
Which is a hell of a lot. I don't see how anyone can say it's not making money.
Yeah. It's
did it have a fairly decent drop in domestic box office? Yeah. Guess what? Everything else does.
Yeah.
But it's comparable to, I think it was Black Widow.
Hmm?
Like, all intents and purposes, like this movie, like, you know, it opened to what, 4 million less than Shang-Chi did.
Yeah.
Yes, it was below expectations, or everyone was saying it was going to do. But guess what? It's still comparable to a movie everyone's praising. Second weekend, globally, it outperforms Shang-Chi. Like, but oh no, the movie's a failure. Right? I kind of don't get it, but hey, that's me.
It's in.
Also, this movie, I only noticed this because I watched Shang-Chi recently again because it's on Disney Plus. The structure of this movie is very similar to Shang-Chi.
How do you mean? Because I haven't watched Shang-Chi since it's come out, so
like the amount of flashbacks and how it tells the story and goes backwards and forwards. You just have this cold opening.
Oh, that's true.
And they also end on the exact same cliffhanger.
Yeah.
It's take out obviously the dialogue and, you know, the event that happens. It's the exact same thing.
Yep.
Just like, oh, they're hanging out, they're talking about everything that just happened. Oh, someone shows up and takes them away.
Well,
sequel.
Okay, so
the only difference is you have a 5-minute thing for the first credit scene for Shang-Chi, because that scene is long.
Right, it is, yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, the movie ended. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So how long this scene is. Well, and Eternals is like, you get Harry Styles, which manifested the school kids in front of me, and I'm still not over that.
That's kind of like crazy. It's like, okay, so we're bringing in multiple characters into the ending scenes of this film. Obviously, one of which has been confirmed. But now we got Pip the Troll, we got Star Fox, and we got Blade. Boy, that is a range of characters. That is.
Yeah. I know. The last time I think we did this, or Marvel did this even, was the Dark World.
Yeah.
Because you had the Collector and Pink Lady.
And I remember everybody based Guardians is going to bomb on that scene, being like, this is stupid. Nobody's going to buy into this world and these ridiculous characters. Because he was like, look at me, I'm Fibonacci. Ooh, and you're like, what is going on here? What is this? Like, it's a little weird, but I do appreciate it because they go just hard at the end with those post-credit scenes. And I'm excited what's to come next. That the film leaves me with that. It leaves me with excitement. Now, do we get a sequel? We don't know because there's
gonna be a sequel.
You would hope
There's no way
right?
They don't. There's nearly 300 million in 2 weeks. Yeah, they're making a sequel. This is I just don't get the conversation around this movie. Like it or not, there's absolutely people being like, "Oh, I don't like it, therefore it's doing badly." How?
Meanwhile,
they
have
literally
a
here
BBS
2 months
avatar
ago.
still, Mitch. They still support BBS.
Yeah. That's very true. It's that they don't care what Rotten Tomatoes says, and they don't care because they were silent on the entire thing. The only time you ever got a response from one of them was when someone had to ask Victoria Alonso. She gave the cringy WB line of, it's for the fans to decide. Like, shut up. I just don't say anything at all. Come up better for it. But other studios, you get the rotten score, and then you hear all this stuff about the movie and how it went wrong. You got nothing from that. Absolutely nothing. So now, if they weren't happy with it, I'm pretty certain Chloe Zhao would be like, yeah, I'm gonna crap on them. I've got my money, I'm gonna crap on them.
Right, yeah. I mean,
because I would.
Yeah, and everything we've heard, everybody had a good experience shooting it. It's been all good things. So, I mean, and look, they can't just leave everything hanging now. Being like, we're never going to deal with everything that happens in this film. This film is a huge piece of the lore and the entire history and future now. So, good luck not trying to explore it.
They literally could not ignore the ending of the movie.
Could you imagine that?
So, we just set up the celestial host. Which one it is, we don't know. I assume it's going to be the first, and they're going to play it that way. But you can't ignore that. Even just if you do ignore that, the fact that you just had one of the probably most at least for me, that the most iconic shot they've ever done of just Arisham's head in the clouds. Everyone, that's a Galactus shot. Everyone knows that shot.
I laughed so hard during that shot because I fixated on the dude that just grabs his bike and starts pedaling the opposite direction. I was like, this is amazing.
Does someone actually do that?
He literally, it's a dude on a bike, and he just notices he starts going the other way. I was like, bro, that's my exact reaction. That is exactly what I would do. What? This universe, we've had an alien invasion. Half of us got snapped away. Another invasion. We're all back. Things are gone to hell. What could possibly be worse?
A giant six-eyed face in the sky.
Six-eyed face in the sky, bigger than the moon, just staring at us, screaming. Okay, that ending gets me real hyped for what comes next, because I assume they're gonna have to deal with everything that happened in the ocean again, which means, there's some stuff happening there, because there's a celestial coming out of the mantle that's suddenly just stuck halfway exiting now. Yeah, that's going to cause some problems. I would assume.
I was going to say, in a real world logical scenario, we'd have been tilted off our axis and looking like Titan right about now. But we ain't like that. Yeah. This is a world where this thing exists, and I adore the fact that, I'm not 100% sold on the look of the Celestials. I think they're too similar in the face.
Same.
It's like, hey, here's Tiamat. He has 4 instead of 6 eyes. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Yeah. That is a complaint I had. I was like, this is kind of uninspired, but...
I love the lanky look, though.
Mm-hmm.
The whole really thin, elongated arms, the legs are tiny, the shoulders are massive. I love that, but you could have incorporated some more actual designs from the comics or the iconography even. But just the fact that they exist, that's my jam.
And it's also the prep, because these guys are going to pale in comparison to what happens when Galactus shows up. So it's like, this is a, palate cleanser. It's just like, here you go. We're going to do more. Just wait.
I mean, Galactus ain't shit compared to these.
Oh, when they do him, he will be, because they're going to... They're gonna make him because it's Galactus.
The only way they can do that is if they do the Earth X angle, and it's like, oh yeah, he goes to planets that have the eggs inside.
Of course. I mean,
That's-
that'll make sense.
Which I'll be fine with that personally.
Yeah.
It would make it a bit more, I don't know, probably a bit more sympathetic for Galactus, but not that he needs that really.
Yeah,
But,
we'll see. We'll see.
Because to me, you can't do Galactus that big. That's too big for Galactus. I know he can change his size, but you kind of like Galactus is someone you can have stand on the planet. Celestials need to be bigger.
Yeah, I can see it.
Also, like space, they spent 2.5 hours touting about how they're space gods. Like, you then gonna have Galactus come in here and be bigger?
Yeah, that's true. Maybe they'll meet somewhere in the middle, and he can adjust size, or as he consumes, he gets bigger or something. It's the typical trope, I guess.
Yeah, they'll figure something out for them.
Yeah,
but
they will.
I just love the fact that.
Mitch, closing thoughts then on this film. What do you think? What do you think of the general reaction to it? 'Cause it's.
I mean, the general reaction to it's whatever. It's.
Yeah.
I know it'll be the typical like, oh look, he's only saying this now because it's a movie that he likes and everyone doesn't like. It's like, fair enough, but the whole, like, do review numbers. I've said it before. I hate giving numbers and letters. I can't stand it. Everyone's numbers and letters mean different things. Even just going like, oh, just go by the school grades. Like, yeah, well, the English grades are different to American grades, and I don't even know my own, let alone yours. So, what does that mean? Like, numbers, some people go, oh, it's okay, it's a 4 out of 10, which I don't know how you calculate that one, but fine, that's your own number, whatever. Like, there's too many variables with it, and I hate it, and it's time for numbers to end. As a whole, as a concept, numbers need to go away.
Yeah, I hate it.
And I don't get how people can be like, oh, but cinema score, and it's like, but the audience score means nothing. It's like, but that's what cinema score is. How can one audience number be nothing, but the other one mean everything? I don't.
Well,
I don't
Mitch,
get.
here it is. It depends on what forms the argument to favor your own narrative. That's the one that matters most. Because remember, remember, for certain things, only the critic score matters if it's high.
It's true.
But if it's low, then you go to the audience score because that favors your argument. So that's how you bounce around. You got to do mental gymnastics.
And I absolutely will for this movie because I adored it.
Perfect.
Now, is there some things wrong with it? Yes. Like, could you maybe cut out a few things? Maybe.
Yeah.
But then again, personally, with the amount of character, like introducing 10 characters, it could have been just
Probably
make it a solid 3 hours.
Yeah, I wish.
Let me actually see what the World Forge looks like properly, because I need to know what's going on in that place, because I think that's entirely new.
Give Crow a story.
Give Crow, yeah. Or not even give him a story. Just don't kill him.
Yeah.
He works perfectly for setup. Like, yes, there are other deviants out there still, because I don't think we saw all of them die.
Yeah, I don't think
I
so.
can't remember if they all died or not. So it's a missed opportunity with that one, definitely.
They didn't even give him glasses. That's probably the biggest crime. What a bunch of crap.
Bro needs his drip. Where is it? The Icarus flying into the sun thing. I think I understand why they done it.
Yeah.
I know it's obviously the whole, oh, he flew too close to the sun. No, flew into the sun. And I think it's a bit slightly different than that, because obviously his whole look in the comics is based on the sun, Icarus. I wonder if they're going to play back with that. I think that could have been a bit more clearer about if he dies or not.
Yeah.
In that, because the one thing, this movie tells you that they've been reset and brought, like, they literally died. We know they've died.
Yeah.
They say at the end, oh, you connect to the celestial, we die, we get brought back with their memories. So the whole death thing was, like, it worked for the movie. I thought it was a little bit weird. It's like they can just bring them back. All right. Obviously, they didn't know that at the time, because only the Prime Eternal knows that. But I assume that's why Ajak or Selma Hayek's got multiple movies under her belt. But,
yep. She ready.
Yeah, like there's some things I'm not a fan of. in this, but what I am a fan of far outweighs, because it was a lot more. Like I didn't have a bad time with this movie. Like other time I saw it, I adored it from start to finish. Yeah.
Yeah, I have issues mainly Crow probably being the biggest one, and the clarification of time, because it's hard to follow like thousands of years spread apart. But overall, it's rewatching.
I say
makes it better.
The whole time thing, I didn't have a problem with that, because they have the title, not title cards, but they tell you like Babylon, blah 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 BC,
right? Yeah.
Mesopotamia, blah 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 BC. It's just like, sure, it's not like Russo brothers. 95% of your screen is your location. And
they should have just taken that for everything as a de facto how to name a location in the MCU to keep it uniform. It's like, okay, there it is.
Because this is more Guardians. We're going to do it in the bottom left-hand corner.
Yeah. So I guess that's kind of going to be it. Obviously, we're going to go more into this when we do an audio commentary on it for members when it drops, more than likely early next year. So,
see, I'm banking on Christmas.
That'd be nice. That would be nice. But
because roughly 45 days is just over a month away. So
it could, yeah. Unless it does numbers like Shang-Chi, where they're like, well, we said 45, but we're gonna do 90 because that thing.
True.
Well, it depends on where we see Chapek and what we throw at him. I guess that's kind of gonna dictate it. So.
Yeah, that's very true.
Throw a mustard wrapper at him. Be able to wash it off his suit. Take that, you billionaire.
Hey. So, penny pinching bastard.
Well, guys, there we go. 2 topics. That was the podcast this week. We went actually longer than normal shows, so hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully we catch you over on the member section where we are going to be talking about everything leading up to Hawkeye. So we'll see you guys there soon.